Thank you for participating today.
Thank you. I want to thank you all for allowing me to share my platform with you today. As the only candidate who will actually be entering office from the citizen side of the table, my viewpoint will be to set priorities and make decisions with the eye of a homemaker who must live within a family budget and that of a small business owner, keeping a business afloat in the face of increasing high taxes, fees, and red tape. I believe in a limited government that exists to protect the individual rights of the citizens and that is accountable to the citizens. To this end, my administration will be truly transparent and will begin with a forensic audit, and the administration's reliance on unelected boards and commissions will be diminished. In my opinion, regional planning has taken the focus away from the needs and wants of the St. Tammany citizens. It's time for St. Tammany to look after St. Tammany. To do this, I plan to focus the budget on infrastructure and drainage and to improve the climate for both business and consumers in our parish through reduced taxes, fees, and mostly regulation. Despite being a political outsider, I have been advocating for individual rights since 2009 by speaking before numerous legislative committees and boards, writing legislation relative to education, and drafting an amicus brief that was accepted by the Supreme Court. I have been in meetings with experts from around the country, government officials, legislators, special interests, citizens, and lobbyists, without ever deviating from the best interests of the citizens of Louisiana, despite pressure put on me to do so. I am the only candidate for parish president who will actually work to rein in the current out-of-control and disrespectful government, return our government to one that represents the citizens instead of the special interests, and return our parish to something resembling the reason we all chose to live here in the first place.
Thank you. Now, are there any questions from the committee? Ms. Schneider?
Yes, I just wanted to ask you, you said you were going to examine the necessity of various unelected boards and commissions.
Yes.
What exactly does that entail?
That entails looking at responsibilities that have been taken away from our elected government and put on to boards and commissions. That's not our type of government. We are represented a constitutional republic, which means that we are supposed to elect the people who represent us. And so when an elected board turns over responsibilities to an appointed board, the voice of the citizen is lost and responsibility to the citizen is lost, because we cannot take away appointed positions. Our power, the power of the people, is in the election. So when you start putting off assignments to appointed boards, the people's voice means nothing anymore.
Well,
And then it becomes
Can you give me an example of that, of a board that is that way?
That would be possibly zoning, but a zoning board that is not an elected board. So when they make a zoning decision that the citizens feel like violates their rights, where do the citizens go?
Well, they would probably go to the Board of Adjustments, I would imagine.
Right.
Is that another board you're speaking of?
If it's an appointed board, yes.
Yes. Because I know we do have a lot of boards.
Yes, we do. We have a lot of boards and commissions, and
I know
therefore the
they all-
voice of the citizen has been diminished greatly.
No, okay, in some way I agree with you, but in other ways I don't, because I know we do listen to the citizens when we're on these boards.
Right.
Yeah. So, we do try and maintain that decorum with the citizens. But, just speaking from my own personal experience,
Right.
that's what I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mangus?
Thanks for running, Ms. Champagne. Thanks for coming here today and presenting your ideas and yourself. You mentioned the out-of-control parish government. What specifically are you wanting to rein in, and how will you detail how you would have to work with the parish council, the legislative body in the parish, in order to do that? Anything in particular?
Well, I think if I give just an example of when I built my own home, and I was told that I had to, before I could get occupancy, I had to get a duct verification form filled out. And as a Republican, I was strongly against the Affordable Care Act because this was government telling me that I had to purchase something. So now we have a Republican administration that is now telling me that I have to purchase something, which is an inspection of my ductwork before I can occupy my home. I find that offensive. As a Republican, I find it offensive that regulations like that are being passed without any consideration for whether or not citizens' rights are being violated. These are progressive ideologies. You know, duct verification is not a Republican ideology.
Sure, I understand that. So to follow up, how will you work with the legislative body, the parish council, who will probably pass that
Well, I think that if I am
regulation to
elected, it will
eliminate
send a
those?
strong message that the people want change. And so I plan to work with that, the power of the people, I guess, behind me and present my ideas to the legislature, the legislative body, and hope that we can work together. It's not going to be an easy job, and I don't pretend that it will be. But every now and then, you just have to stand up and say, you know, we've had enough. I'm the people. I'm the people that I have a small business now, not years ago. I'm the one who's faced with regulation. I'm hearing these stories all through the parish of people that have, I brought my business here from Jefferson Parish, I was told from a gentleman, and it's the worst mistake I've ever made in my life. I mean, this should be the easiest parish to do business in. We're a Republican parish. I mean, it's shocking to hear the stories of people trying to open businesses in this parish. You know, it takes 7, 8, 9 months to get approval. $70,000 impact fees. I started to open a business, one gentleman told me, but then I stopped because it was just so much red tape. As a Republican, I am offended. It doesn't represent my ideology. And so as Republicans, I think we need to take back our government. We are the party of limited government. What does that even look like in practice? When you have the same ordinances being passed under a Republican administration that's being passed in New Orleans under a Democrat administration, there's a problem. And that's why there's a disconnect, and so many people can't relate to the Republican Party, so they're registering as no party because they don't see a difference. So when will the Republican Party stand up? I will be that leader. I am offering my service to be that leader. I want to put the voice of the people back into government and to limit government and to respect the rights of the individual. I just feel like that's not being done right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Gianoli?
I'm a little passionate about it.
Taking up a
That's
little
okay.
time too.
Ms. Champagne, thank you for coming today. I have the same question for you that I posed just earlier. As you know, the St. Tammany Parish has the highest suicide rate in the state, and I was just wondering if you had any ideas as to what you might do as parish president to help alleviate this.
There are many studies on the suicide rate. I think if we truly want to solve the problem, it needs to start in our schools, okay? I will be a voice for the students in our schools, because right now, under standards-based education, we're trying to force children to become something that they're not. We have set a standard and said in our education system that every child must meet this standard. And so in order to do so, they are repeating curriculum over and over again. And now it's even more fabulous for the progressive ideology that wants to do this to our children, because we have computers and we can just sit them in front of a computer screen and expect them to redo the material over and over and over again until they get it. Well, in order to do this to our children, we're having to drug more and more of them. And so when they get out of school and they're in college and they're no longer on this drug regimen, this is where we start to see a problem, because they stop taking the medications that they were on because they maybe don't feel like they need it anymore. And so more and more children at this age group are having panic situations, I guess, or situations where they haven't really been taught how to handle their emotions because they've been drugged for so long. So if we truly want to solve the problem, we need to handle it in our schools, because otherwise we're just throwing money at it and the special interests are right there to grab it.
Thank you. Mr. Wells?
Yeah, you discussed a number of boards and committees, unelected, as you say, but most of these are set up by statute or ordinance. What actions have you taken to date, working with the parish council and the state legislative delegation, to try to change the underlying documents or the underlying requirements for these unelected boards and commission?
I've been working since 2009 and going to many committee meetings and expressing my concern over the fact that there are so many unelected boards and commissions.
That's it?
I don't have the money, I guess, that special interests have. Because if I did, I guess I could have bought some legislation.
Okay, interesting response, but you've gone off on everything from drugs in school to, the Affordable Care Act. Concentrating on the duties of a parish president, how would you resolve these problems as parish president? Where in the charter or the state law do you have that kind of power?
I think we need a complete analysis of every ordinance that's in place right now, and we need to work from there. Does that offend you in some way? I think that as a citizen, we all have a right to question government, and we all have a right to question where the power of government comes from. And so if we sit down and analyze everything that's been done to date, maybe we can get rid of some of the stuff that we find intrusive.
And you as parish president are going to lead that charge?
I most certainly will, yes.
Thank you. You now have a minute for your closing remarks.
Thank you. I think that we need to rebrand St. Tammany Parish. There's a cloud of corruption hanging over St. Tammany Parish, and it also reflects on the Republican Party as well. I'm offering my service as a new face to lead St. Tammany out of this cloud, I guess we could say. 4 years, give me 4 years. We either get it done or we don't, and you elect someone else after that. All I'm asking is that we try limited government and putting the rights of the citizens first. Thank you.
Thank you for your participation here today. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Our last candidate